So how do you use failure to learn and be better?
Well, like for example, at the beginning of my racing career, I started my first 3 races. My bike broke for some reason. It stopped running because I didn't know enough about how to prepare how to make it waterproof, especially the ignition. In those days, you needed to have some experience how to get it to keep working in the rain and bad conditions. So I became much better at putting the electricals together, and after 3 failures in a row, I started winning because I was better prepared. Another example is, all the teams, they work a lot they're trying a lot of new things. One guy has an idea, another guy has an idea. So they build a part and they go out testing. Well, if it's successful, which happens maybe when you try new things, it may be 10% of the time, then they let everybody know, they send email to the factory, oh yeah, we made this improvement, and the rider really like it. But the 9 other times that they tested things and that it came out negative, they never reported it. So the guys that are sitting back at the factory in Europe, maybe somebody has the same ideas that the things that were already tested here and that were failures, and it takes a little bit of guts to say, hey, we spent some money and work and time on trying this idea of mine, but it was really bad, it didn't work. So, and you usually have a lot more failures when you try new things than victories,
Yeah.
And nobody likes to tell about, about all
I don't want to
the
share
things you
that.
try,
Yeah.
and they don't want to speak about it, because they're afraid to look stupid or something. But in reality, it's part of the learning, and it's as important to document that than the good steps that you have made, the victories that you make in setting in or redesigning a part or trying a new idea with suspension or whatever, and so that's something that that our team has really been good at. I feel is at reporting all the things that we go through, good or bad,
I remember there was like multiple times we would try parts or test certain stuff, and there was maybe 10 negatives, but there was one positive.
Right.
But you could maybe you could work through and to get the positive without all the negatives.
Right.
That's what.
Yeah, that's the goal,
That's
and make an overall a better compromise of everything, because everything is connected, and it's all what you do here affects what's happening there.
Right.
What happened to if you work on the rear suspension and you change the resistance or make it softer or harder, it will affect how the front works, and you have to try to understand the whole picture. And it's always a compromise,
Yeah.
But if the compromise overall is better, then you made progress.
Yeah.
But if you try something and there's 7 negatives and 3 positives, then you're probably not going forward.
Yeah. And don't look for perfect either, because
It's never perfect. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, that's the truth. Did you ever have a moment where you had an injury and then kind of felt like a failure, and then what did you do to kind of get back out, make the upward climb out of it?
Yeah, I had a couple of serious ones over my career, kind of on the early part. One, I split my kidney, and they were talking about taking my kidney away, and that was really, really scary, because I knew with one kidney you don't go racing, it's too, because you cannot give up 2 kidneys.
No.
And yeah, in those situations, it's I think, of course, trying to get the best medical help as possible, and do the right things to recover. But I think there you need to get some help and trust from the guy upstairs also.
Yeah.
You know, and you
And,
need bigger powers to help you.
yeah, especially within racing and those healing, trying to heal those moments, trying to heal. And
I was fortunate that I recovered 100% from it, and
yeah,
and then I had a close call once that I lost my spleen in a crash, and we were at a practice track. Was not that far from the hospital, but if I had not a friend there that was smart and did the right things, I would have, I would not be here because I was bleeding.
pretty bad.
My spleen was in 5 pieces, so.
Really?
Yeah, and I had nothing external. I had a little bit of red mark from, hitting a tree. And those trees are strong. They don't move out of the way. But Sylvan.
Yep.
He happened to be at the track that day also, and he was smart. He put me on the floor of the van, left the bikes right there at the track, and he happened to know where the surgeon in that hospital in the town we were, where the surgeon lived, and it was lunchtime, and he knew the surgeon. He was friends with the surgeon. He knew his habit that at a certain time he always came home for lunch. He drove straight to his house, picked him up, and drove to the hospital with him and me together. And he already started work on me on the way to the hospital.
That's right, because they didn't give you any Novocaine or nothing, and that they had to open you up or suit something, right?
Yeah, because they thought it was there was more than the spleen, that it was pretty serious, and I was bleeding a lot inside, so I lost consciousness. And
You did lose consciousness.
yeah, then they kept my feet, put a box under my feet and kept my head down, and I remember seeing a little bit at the hospital, and the nurse pushing the bag of blood to make it go in quicker, She was putting pressure on it, compressing it. And but
It's amazing that Sylvan was there and knew the
I was
surgeon.
lucky, yeah.
And was able to.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that ultimately saved your life?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
There's, when you bleed that much internally, the blood goes away from your brains first, and yeah, I got really lucky there.
That's God's hand on you, Raj. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't know you came that close. I never heard that with him.
Yeah.
Jeez. So don't battle the tree.
No, don't mess with the tree. I just swapped, and there was a tree right next to the track, and it threw me right into it.
Yeah. Glad you're all right.
Yeah. You didn't have many injuries, but you had a serious one. And what did you do to come back from it?
Yeah, that was so in 2016. I broke my neck in outdoors, obviously, but that was one of the harder ones to get over. I tried not to see it in a fearful situation. I mean, I think all my career, I hoped that I would be safe. I hoped that I'd be healthy leaving the sport, and I hoped that that I could walk away. Really, I mean that was. I think my biggest fear was getting hurt in that way of being in a wheelchair. But I never. I say that out loud, of course. I mean, I was human. I battled things and my whole career, but that one, when it becomes reality or close to reality, that's when it kind of hit me the most. Before, it was just like a fantasy, or not a fantasy. It wasn't reality. It was just kind of
I feel that as a racer, we always think it can happen to somebody else, but not to me.
Right.
I'm careful. I'm strong, and but when something serious really happened, then you realize that you're only human.
Exactly. And thankfully, I wasn't out there riding scared or anything. I was out there giving it my best, doing the best I could. I made a mistake, and it threw me into the hill, and it just wrenched my neck the right way, and But that was the biggest one to overcome for me, just because I was more towards the, upwards of towards the end of my career. I wasn't in the middle at the beginning. It was like, okay, and knowing that I was able to walk away and be good. I went home. I took some time off. I rested. I definitely took the rest that I needed and to recover and heal. And that was good. I definitely, the break was needed. I was in need of a physical break and a mental break, so it all kind of fell in the right area. But what I was left to face with was the thought of, yeah, but what if it was worse? I kept at, well, what? And then it just started. Then I for a while I let it escalate there. I said, well, that was it. That was too close. I'm not coming back. I'm not racing it. I'm not putting myself in that position. I told Lindsay, and Raj, I never told you this because I was dealing with my own stuff, of course, but I said before 17, I was like, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna go on and do other things, and I was really convinced. And then I just knew something inside me wasn't right. Like, I can't make that decision right now. It's fear. I'm making a decision based off of fear. And I know that, and I'm making it based off of how I feel in the moment. And I learned through that situation, I was reading a lot, not because I learned this all on my own, but when I was reading, is that I can't make a decision when I'm discouraged, because it's not going to be the right one. I'm just going to go off of how I feel at the moment, and it's not going to be the right decision. I'm making a decision off of fear, and that's not right either. So I said, you know what, I'm going to choose faith. I'm going to choose faith over fear, and I'm going to, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope that it all works out in the end. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to race, and I did. I'm glad and the one thing I learned through those moments is that I didn't run from the fear. I faced it. I faced it head on, because there's no other way I learned to experience it. And so, and you got to remember, emotionally, it was really heavy on me at the time. It was really heavy. It weighed on me tremendously. And I think it even reflected maybe in a little bit of my last year in 17. I think the battle was, we won the championship, we got the job done, but the battle was within me. It wasn't on the track. Yeah. And I became more exhausted from the battle that I was facing, that trying to overcome that and be faithful. And I fought the enemy a lot that year. The voices, like you were talking about, all these voices, and but I gave it the best I could, and I feel like when it came time to be done with racing, it was the right decision, and not one that I'm glad I didn't give up. What if I did speed up? What if I did quit in 2016, and that was it? We wouldn't have gone on to win 17, and I'm glad I choose faith over fear. And of course it was a battle, but it's not going to be easy, and it wasn't, but it was one of the hardest things I had to overcome in my life, for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool that you won the championship after that,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It hits you hard when the dang doctor says if you would have went a little bit more, you would have been paralyzed, your neck, and that's when it hit me. I bawled my eyes out. Told Lindsay I wasn't coming back. It was just a moment of I'll never forget. But life goes on, and I can have a pity party about it. It happened, but I moved forward, and that's what I would encourage everybody else to do. Face the fear.